Have you ever had one of those mornings where you walk into a room and completely forget why you went in there? You just stand there, staring at the wall, trying to retrace your steps. Maybe you laugh it off. Maybe you worry a little. If that's happened to you more than once lately, you're not alone and you're definitely not losing it. Living alone after 60 can be a beautiful thing. You have peace, freedom, and space to do what you want when you want. But here's the other side of that coin. When no one's around to talk to every day, to challenge your mind, or to help you stay active in small ways, your brain starts to slow down without you even noticing. It's not sudden. It's quiet, gradual. And one day, you might catch yourself struggling to remember where you left your reading glasses, or worse, feeling foggy when you used to feel sharp. The good news is, your brain is like a muscle, it needs regular workouts. And just because you live alone doesn't mean your mind has to go into retirement. In fact, this can be the perfect time to build a routine that keeps your brain sharper than it's ever been. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Let's dive into some simple, powerful ways to keep your mind alert, engaged, and full of energy no matter your age or who's around. So, picture this. It's early morning. The sun is just rising. You've made your cup of tea or coffee. Now, what if, instead of turning on the TV or scrolling on your phone, you spent 10 quiet minutes talking out loud to yourself? Yes, I know how that sounds. But stay with me. The first powerful thing you can do to sharpen your mind is to speak your thoughts out loud every single day. It might feel odd at first, especially if you're not used to it. But talking out loud activates different parts of your brain than silent thinking. It forces your mind to organize your thoughts into language. That's an actual cognitive workout. And here's the beauty of it. No one has to be around. You can talk to yourself about your plans for the day, a book you're reading, or even memories from long ago. Let's say you're boiling eggs. While you wait, instead of flipping through channels, you say, I'm going to water the plants today, then maybe read another chapter of that mystery novel. What was that plot twist again? Oh, right, the neighbor wasn't the villain after all. It's not just talking. It's thinking with your mouth, and that's something most people stop doing when they're alone. But for your brain, it's gold. Another way to do this if you're not into talking to yourself is reading out loud. Even if it's just a page a day, a news article, a favorite poem. Reading aloud engages your brain in a way that silent reading doesn't. It improves focus, comprehension, and even memory. If you're up for it, try reading in different tones. Add emotion to the words. Make it a mini performance just for you. You'll be amazed at how much more alive the words become and how much more your mind absorbs. Now, while we're on the topic of being alone, let's talk about another thing that tends to fade quietly when we don't have daily interaction: decision-making. Have you ever noticed how living alone can make decision-making feel optional? When you don't have to consult anyone else, it's easy to just go with the same breakfast every day, wear the same clothes, follow the same routine. But here's the catch. Your brain loves choices. It thrives on having to weigh options, compare outcomes, and make tiny judgments. That's why the second great idea for staying mentally sharp is this. Build small decisions into your daily life on purpose. Start simple. Instead of automatically reaching for the same tea every morning, stand in front of your cupboard and ask, green tea or peppermint today? When you cook, ask yourself, do I want to saute or roast these vegetables? It might seem silly, but these micro decisions light up parts of your brain that go dim when you're always on autopilot. Even better, create decision rituals. For example, every Friday, you choose a new song to play during breakfast. Or every Sunday afternoon, you flip a coin to decide between two parks to walk in. These aren't major choices, but they keep your mind engaged. They remind your brain that it's still needed, that it still matters. And if you really want to go deeper, keep a little decision diary. Each evening, jot down 1 or 2 small decisions you made that day and how they turned out. It doesn't have to be profound. Chose peach jam instead of strawberry. It was delicious. That's enough. This habit reinforces awareness, and it actually sharpens your memory over time. You see, when we live alone, it's easy to fall into quiet patterns that don't require much thought. But those patterns, if left unchecked, can become mental quicksand. They feel comfortable, but they're not challenging. And a brain that's not challenged starts to doze off. So let's wake it up. Gently but consistently. Start with talking out loud just a few minutes a day. Then add in small daily choices, like a little mental menu of decisions you make not because you have to, but because you want your brain to stretch. It doesn't take much, just a few conscious moments. And over time, those moments stack up into sharper thinking, better memory, and a deeper sense of aliveness even when you're by yourself. Because here's the truth. Being alone doesn't have to mean being disconnected. In fact, it can be your most powerful season, yet if you know how to tune in and wake up the parts of yourself that the world too often tells you to quiet down. Sometimes, all it takes is one moment of mindfulness to turn an ordinary day into something meaningful. That's the kind of power your brain holds. Quiet, steady, waiting to be activated. And when you're living alone, the beautiful part is that no one interrupts you. You have the time, the space, and the freedom to shape your mental world in any way you choose. Let's keep going with something simple, yet deeply powerful: movement. Not just the kind that keeps your body healthy, but the kind that stimulates your brain. Now, you might be thinking, I already walk every day. I stretch. Isn't that enough? Well, yes and no. Physical movement is wonderful, but it becomes truly brain-boosting when it's tied to coordination, rhythm, or memory. That's why the third great idea for sharpening your mind is to move in new, intentional ways. Think about dancing. You don't need to go to a ballroom or take a class. Just turn on a song in your living room, something with a good beat, and move. Even if you're just swaying your arms or tapping your feet, when you move to music, your brain is processing timing, emotion, rhythm, and balance all at once. It's like fireworks going off in your head in the best way. Or try something called pattern walking. Pick a path in your home, and instead of walking it straight, add a pattern. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Side shuffle to the left, then right. It might feel silly at first, but it challenges your coordination and memory. And best of all, it breaks the routine your brain has gotten used to. That little disruption is where the magic happens. It says to your brain, hey, wake up. We're doing something new. Another lovely option is chair yoga or seated Tai Chi. Both blend gentle movement with mindful awareness. When you focus on how your hands move through the air, how your spine stretches tall, how your breath moves in and out, that's not just relaxing. It's strengthening your neural pathways. It's like shining a light on the forgotten corners of your mind. But movement doesn't always have to be physical. That brings us to something that many people overlook, something you may not have done in years, but your brain is absolutely craving: creativity. The fourth idea for staying mentally sharp is to bring a little creativity back into your life, especially if you're on your own. Now, you don't have to be an artist or a poet. You don't need fancy supplies or talent or training. You just need curiosity. Maybe you used to doodle when you were younger. Maybe you loved writing letters or rearranging furniture. Maybe you liked to sing in the shower. Those little moments of expression, they matter. Try this. Grab a blank piece of paper. Draw a single shape, any shape. Then build off of it. Don't worry if it looks good. That's not the point. What matters is that you're thinking in images. You're making decisions. You're solving tiny visual puzzles. That's what keeps your mind alive. Or open a notebook and write a few lines about your day, but make one thing up. Just for fun. Maybe the cat across the street gave you a dirty look. Maybe your teacup whispered a secret. Why? Because your brain lights up when you shift from fact to imagination. It's like giving it a little wink and saying, let's play. Even gardening can be creative. Rearranging your pots. Naming your plants. Telling them stories while you water them. It's not childish, it's soulful. And it activates parts of your brain that routine tasks never touch. And don't underestimate the power of doing something with your hands. Folding paper, stringing beads, kneading dough, all of it links motion to attention. That physical engagement, mind and body moving together, is one of the most powerful tools to keep your brain agile as you age. But here's something else to consider, something that might surprise you. One of the most overlooked ways to stay mentally sharp while living alone is something incredibly simple, and yet, for many people, also the hardest: asking questions. That's the fifth great idea I want to share with you. Become endlessly curious. Ask questions every single day, even when there's no one there to answer them. You can ask yourself, why did I feel tired this afternoon? Or, what made that memory come back to me while I was folding laundry? You can ask questions about the world, too. Why does the moon look so big tonight? How does this plant know when to bloom? Where did I put that old letter from my sister, and why haven't I read it in so long? Questions spark thought. They pull you out of autopilot. They remind your brain that there are still mysteries to explore, even in a quiet room. And when you turn those questions into tiny missions, maybe you Google something. Maybe you write a note to yourself to look it up later, you start building a life that's rich with wonder, not just routine. You can even keep a curiosity journal. 1 page a day. Not to solve anything, not to find answers, but to let your mind wander and wonder. Because here's the thing. Living alone doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you grow on your own terms. And when your days are filled with movement, expression, choices, questions, and voice, even if it's your own voice, you're not just passing time. You're expanding it, deepening it, making it vibrant. You are proof that a quiet home can still be full of life. That age is not a limit, it's a doorway. And every day that you wake up and say, I'm going to keep my mind strong today, you walk through that doorway just a little farther. It's a beautiful thing, really, how the mind responds to attention. Not pressure, not perfection, just simple, consistent attention. And when you give it that, especially in the quiet of your own home, it doesn't just thank you, it begins to shine in ways you didn't expect. Now let's talk about something that might not seem directly connected to mental sharpness at first glance, but actually holds tremendous power. Meaningful connection. Yes, even when you're living alone. Because here's the truth, loneliness and mental decline often go hand in hand. But connection doesn't always mean being physically surrounded by people. It means staying emotionally and mentally engaged with the world around you. And that brings us to the sixth and final idea. Become a giver of small connections. What does that mean? It means taking little actions that create a thread between you and someone else, even if just for a moment. Maybe you send a voice message to your niece, not to say anything urgent, but just to ask how her garden is growing. Maybe you write a handwritten note to a neighbor and leave it in their mailbox. Or you call someone you haven't talked to in years and simply say, I've been thinking of you. These moments don't need to be long or deep, but every time you reach outward, you light up pathways in your brain tied to empathy, memory, language, and joy. Yes, joy is a cognitive function, too. And joy is something we often forget to seek when we live alone. If you've ever shared a laugh with someone on the phone, or waved at a child passing by your window, or helped a stranger in a small way, then you've already felt it. That little spark, that warmth that lingers even after the moment ends. That's your brain saying, yes. More of this, please. If reaching out feels hard, start small. Comment on a video like this one. Leave a short message. Join a virtual book club. Or attend a free online class, even if you don't say much. Just the act of participating connects your brain to a wider network of stimulation. And when your world opens up, even by 1 degree, your thoughts expand with it. Now, some days, the quiet will still feel heavy. Some mornings you'll feel foggy no matter what you do. And that's okay. Staying mentally sharp isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about choosing again and again to keep showing up for your mind with a little intention, a little curiosity, and a little compassion. Because here's the beautiful part, you don't have to do all of this at once. You can pick just one small thing. Maybe today, you speak your grocery list out loud while making tea. Maybe tomorrow, you doodle a tiny scene while the kettle boils. The next day, you ask yourself a question just to see where your thoughts go. It doesn't take hours. Just presence. Just care. And every time you do something like that, your brain is waking up. Your mind is stretching. You're reminding yourself and the world that growing older does not mean growing dull. In fact, it can be the most vibrant chapter of your life if you choose to make it so. You've made it through the noise of the world. You've made it through decades of responsibility, of caring for others, of building and providing and planning. Now, you get to build something else, a relationship with your own mind, a friendship with your thoughts, a quiet kind of brilliance that doesn't shout, but hums gently through your days. And here's what I want you to remember. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not slipping. You are waking up to a new rhythm, one that belongs only to you. And it is never too late to start listening to it. So go on. Try something today. Whisper your thoughts to the empty room. Walk a different path to the kitchen. Sing a line from a song you loved in your 20s. Call a friend just to ask how their dog is doing. Ask a question you don't know the answer to. Let your mind be alive. Let it play. Let it wander. Let it sharpen not through pressure, but through joy. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt even a flicker of hope or a moment of recognition, I invite you to share it. Leave a comment below. Tell me what small habit you're going to try this week. Let this be your space to connect, not just watch. Because you're not alone here. Not really. This is a place where sharp minds and warm hearts come together, no matter the distance. And if you haven't yet, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. There's more coming, more tips, more encouragement, more reminders that life doesn't end when things get quiet. In fact, sometimes, that's exactly when it begins to speak the loudest. Here's to your clarity, your spark, your unshakable wisdom. Here's to living not just longer but brighter every single day. There's something almost sacred about the stillness that comes with age. It's not the same kind of quiet you experienced when you were younger, those rushed moments of silence in between work and raising a family. No, this quiet feels different. It holds more weight. It asks more of you. And if you listen closely, it also offers something beautiful in return, clarity. You see, mental sharpness isn't just about remembering things or solving puzzles. It's about clarity, about being able to hold your own thoughts without them slipping away, about feeling present in your choices, steady in your focus, and alive in your days. And when you live alone, you have a rare opportunity, one most people never get, to cultivate that clarity with intention. Because no one is filling your time but you. And in that space, you can start asking bigger questions. What makes me feel alive? What do I want to understand better? What would I love to learn now? Not for a degree or a job, but just because it fascinates me. That's when growth begins to feel joyful again. Maybe you've always wondered how to draw a tree, or play the piano, or bake a sourdough loaf from scratch. Maybe you've thought, it's too late for that. But let me tell you, it's not. The brain is always listening, always adapting. It doesn't care if you're 60 or 90. It just wants to be used. Even small lessons can bring you back to life. Watching a short documentary on birds. Trying a new language app for 5 minutes a day. Listening to a podcast about history or health. It doesn't have to be intense or academic. Just consistent. Just meaningful to you. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by choice, start with one topic. One curiosity. Follow it like a thread. Just to see where it leads. You might find that you don't just remember better, you feel more awake. More connected. More you. Now I want to remind you of something important. Mental sharpness doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean remembering every date or never losing your keys. It means staying mentally engaged. It means using your brain in new, meaningful, and loving ways, even if the world tells you it's okay to coast. But you're not here to coast. You're here to thrive. You are living in a chapter that younger people rarely understand. A chapter where wisdom is earned, not taught. where solitude is not loneliness, but choice, where your time is yours again. And how you spend it is no small thing, it's the way you continue to write your story. So let your story include laughter, yes, even if you're laughing by yourself. Let it include curiosity, even if no one's watching. Let it include growth and learning and trying and failing. Let it include joy, not just comfort. Purpose, not just passing time. And if today is a hard day, because some days are, then let this message be a small light. A gentle reminder that your mind is still capable of brilliance. That you are still allowed to surprise yourself. That you don't need to prove anything to anyone, but you can still impress yourself. Take the first step. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more ready. Just now. Speak aloud. Pick a book. Take a walk with no destination. Send a message to someone you love. Watch something that challenges you. Create something, even if it's imperfect. Especially if it's imperfect. Because you're not meant to fade quietly. You're meant to burn on sharp, steady, beautiful. And if this video gave you even the smallest bit of hope, or comfort, or clarity, share that. Not just with us in the comments, but with yourself. Write it down. Say it aloud. I'm not done growing. I'm just getting started. Click that like button if you felt seen today. Subscribe if you want more encouragement, more connection, more reminders that aging doesn't mean retreating, it means rising into your wisdom. And if you know someone who needs this message, send it their way. You never know whose mind you might wake up with one small act of kindness. Here's to you, your sharp mind, your wide heart, your limitless potential. Yes, even now. You are not behind. You are not alone. And you are most certainly not done.